Hello and welcome back to my studio. It's Dr. Bunce here, and today this tutorial is for The Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. Now usually in school when we learn this I teach this to year sixes because it's quite complicated, but it could actually be played by any year group. You might just have to simplify some of the things we're going to be doing. Before we actually get into the tutorial, if you have got a keyboard at home and not sure how to set it up, do look at the video that I've already created. It'll be down in the comments, which shows you how to set up your keyboards at home with the correct colours so it follows the patterns we use at school. If you haven't got a keyboard at home, the video also details how to use online pianos and how to set that up as well. So let's actually have a look at the piece. You'll notice, looking at the music, that there are three parts. Part 1, which runs along the top. We then have part 2, which is in the middle, and part 3. And you can see that part 1 is mainly red notes, so the red octave plus the green B at the end. Part 2 is all green notes, and part 3 has a mixture of green and blue. Now when we're looking at these notes, you'll notice that quite a few of them have the hashtag sign beside them, what we call in music a sharp. Now to find those sharps, you're going to need to go to the right of the white note that is named. So for example, the first note in part 1 is a C sharp, so you're not going to play white note C, you're going to play the black note to the right. So let me show you that on the keyboard at the bottom of the screen. You'll notice it's lighting up now. There is a C, which is here. You don't want to play that note, you want to play the black note to the right. That's C sharp. So, before we get into learning this, back to those three individual parts and how Ed Sheeran wrote this piece. Now in year 4 we learnt about ostinato. That's the Italian word in music for repeated patterns. And the shape of you is actually made up of 3 individual repeated patterns, or ostinati. Now what happens with the shape of you is Ed Sheeran plays all 3 of those parts together over 40 times. So he repeats those patterns, those ostinati, 40 plus times, and then sings over the top of it. So we're going to learn each part or each ostinato at a time, and I would suggest that after you've learnt them, practice playing them separately, but practice playing them over and over again. So that way you're really comfortable playing them as a repeated pattern, as an ostinato, and that you'll be able to play along with Ed Sheeran as well. Now that's one of the great things about this particular tutorial, is when you've learnt it, if you can find a recording of Ed Sheeran singing the original song, you'll be able to play along with him. So without further ado, let's have a look at part 1. Part 1 starts in the red, so we're going to need the red notes on the keyboard, and we're going to start with the C sharp. So remember, that's the black note to the right of the red C. So you play it once, then you play the E, then the C sharp again, then you do the C sharp, then the E, then the C sharp, then the C sharp again, then the E, then the C sharp, then the D sharp, the C sharp, and the green B. You must make sure you get the colours right. Remember, often when we're working on keyboards at school, I tell you what I'm looking for, and with this particular piece I'll be looking for you to get the colours right as well, because if you don't get the colours right it won't sound right. So let's have a look at how I play that using my actual keyboard over to the right of me. So you'll notice I've got the red notes up here, the green, the blue down here, and I've labelled my keyboard ready. And you've got the music for Shape of You at the bottom of the screen. So we're going to start with the C sharp, E, C sharp, C sharp, E, C sharp, C sharp, E, C sharp, D sharp, C sharp, B. Now, if you wanted to use 5-finger technique, that's a level 3, a keyboard level 3 in school, I would suggest you use your 3rd finger on the C sharp, you use your pinky of your right hand on the E, and you use finger 4 on that's my ring finger on the D sharp, and you're going to use the finger 2 on the B. So let's see what that would look like. That would look like this: C sharp, E, C sharp, C sharp, E, C sharp, C sharp, E, C sharp, D sharp, C sharp, B, and again. So that's part 1 learnt, and you should repeat that a number of times. If you're in lower school, I would suggest you might like to stop the video here, because that will be enough for you to be able to be getting on with, to be able to play along with Shape of You with Ed Sheeran singing it. If you want to try to stretch yourself, you could go on and learn part 2 in the rest of the video, or even part 3. So let's have a look at part 2 now, shall we? Part 2 uses only green notes, and it sounds like this. Notice the keyboard at the bottom is lighting up to show you the notes I'm playing on the keyboard over on my right. So let's say those notes: G sharp, G sharp, G sharp, A, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp. Now, when I'm thinking about this, I think of it like this. I think of it as 3 G sharps, 3 A's, another 3 A's, and a 3 F sharps. Now, you might be thinking, why didn't he say 6 A's in the middle? Why did he say 3 A's plus 3 A's? Well, it's to do with the way in which the music is structured. Let's have a look in a little more detail. If we look at part 1, if you look at the first 3 notes, C sharp, E, C sharp. So that's 3 notes. Think of it as a block of 3 notes. Then we have C sharp, E, C sharp again. So it repeats. The first block and the second block are the same. Remember, always spot patterns when you're learning a piece of music. It will help you learn it. And then the next 3 is C sharp, E, C sharp again. So far we've had the same 3 notes repeated over and over again. And then finally we have D sharp, C sharp, B at the end. So that's the final 3 notes of the piece. So you'll notice they're different to the other 3 blocks. Now you can see how I came about thinking in threes. Part 2 has 3 G sharps, 3 A's, 3 A's, 3 F sharps. So that's the reason why I say 3 plus 3 rather than 6. Let's have a look at the keyboard and see what that looks like when I play it. Now I'm going to play it using my right hand again. I'm going to use my middle finger, my 4th finger and my 2nd finger. So. And again. And again, if you're in lower school, you might just like to learn that and play that along as part of Shape of You. Now, you remember back to the sheet, there is a third part. So the third part we'll look at now, that uses green C sharp, then 3 F sharps, then 3 A's and 3 B's. You'll notice again with this pattern, it's in blocks of 3, which makes more sense of that middle part now. So let's have a look at how part 3 works. I'm going to play it for now with my right hand for ease, but later on I'm going to learn it with my left hand. So it's 3 G sharps, 3 C sharps, 3 F sharps, 3 A's, 3 B's. Right, now if you're feeling really adventurous, this is where it gets really fun. You're going to begin to put some parts together. Now there's a couple of options here. It says it at the bottom of the sheet, tells you how to maybe learn it. If you've got a sister or brother at home, or even maybe an adult that could play along with you, they could play one of the other parts while you play a certain part. Or you could try putting 2 parts together. Let's have a look at how that would work. So what I'm going to do is with my right hand, I'm going to play part 1. And I'm going to play it using those fingers that I like. They're the fingers that I showed you I like to use earlier. Let's do that again. With my left hand, I'm going to lean in and play part 2 at the same time. How about doing parts 1 and 3? Okay, and of course you could do parts 2 and 3 as well. Now you may be wondering, on the music, why is there a thick black line between parts 2 and part 3? Well, the reason for that is when I play all 3 parts together, what I have to do is I have to play 2 parts with one hand and 1 part with the other hand. And I favour playing parts 1 and 2 with my right hand and part 3 with my left hand. So let's have a look at how that works. You'd first need to learn to play parts 1 and 2 together with your right hand. Now remember those fingers that I was favouring earlier, using 3 there, 5 on the E, 4 on the D sharp and 2 on the B. That leaves my thumb free. Thumb free, should I say. So with my thumb I'm going to play part 2. Here goes. G sharp, G sharp, G sharp, A, F sharp, F sharp, F sharp. Now I can play part 2 with my thumb while I'm playing part 1 with my top of my hand, so fingers 2, 3, 4, 5. And now, under the thick black line on the music, we've got part 3, which I can add with my left hand. Now that's the most complicated we're going to get to doing today. I suppose you could make it more complicated by singing the tune over the top. And of course you can play along with Ed Sheeran. Remember that he plays that over 40 times. He plays those 3 ostinati 40 times plus when he's singing his song. Now in fact, he cheats slightly. He uses what's called a loop pedal. Now we explored this with the year 6s. I showed you a video of him actually singing the song live. And you'll notice that the way he does it is quite clever. He pre-records those using a pedal, a special pedal on the floor, so he can play one part and he records it, then he plays another part and he pushes the pedal down with his foot and records it, and he can layer them by just pressing the pedals and turning those parts on and off. That allows him to then play his guitar and sing over the top. Now you might find that this is not quite sounding like Shape of You today, and the reason for that is because I've got my keyboard set up to a piano sound. Now Ed Sheeran doesn't use a piano sound, he uses a marimba sound. So if you have a keyboard at home, you want to look for a marimba sound, or if you're using an online piano, marimba sound as well. So that's enough for today. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will hopefully be catching up with you soon. Stay safe.